Welcome back to BadgerBlitz TV, your Rivals.com destination for all things Wisconsin athletics. Once again, I'm Matt Perkins, joined, as always, by my good friend, former Rivals.com national analyst, Clint Cosgrove. Like we always say, buddy, it's the best time of the week.
Best time of the week, best week of the month, best month of the year, best year of the decade.
I mean, why not, Clint? When I'm with you,
Let's roll.
It's always the best, whatever it is, out of any time span that you could possibly think of. We are here today, going to break down a little film, going to talk a little portal, just going to talk a little bit, leading up into early signing day, all sorts of stuff on the agenda today. But Clint, I wanted to get out today and really break down the film on a really intriguing prospect that the Badgers have just offered, and that is Elbert Hill, the cornerback out of Archbishop Hoban, Akron, Ohio.
Baller.
Badger fans should be familiar with this program. It's where outside linebacker Daryl Peterson came from, and it's one of the top programs in the country. It's been one of the top programs in the country for a while now, and they are producing, it feels like a dozen FBS players every single year coming out of this program.
Dudes.
I mean, they are insane. This kid's a 2026, though, Clint, and he's already standing out as one of the best players on this team because, I'm always interested in who this new staff is really recruiting at D-back. What are they looking for? It's something we've talked about a lot in this 3-3-5. And Clint, I think I have found my favorite 2026 so far. This kid, I love watching him, his athleticism, his football IQ. He takes chances. I have some comps in my head that we'll talk about here in a minute, but we're going to turn on the tape here first, Clint. And I'm going to pass it off to you because I just think this kid is a stud.
He's incredible. I mean, for a kid as young as he is, his coverage skills. You talk about him taking chances. He jumps on balls. He has so much confidence, plays with a chip on his shoulder. His twitch, his ability to come out of his breaks, his hips, just everything, his burst, his speed, the ball in his hands. You'll see him play on offense. The dude is an absolute highlight reel. They'll leave him on an island by himself against some big-time football players. And, it's like he has eyes in the back of his head. Like he always knows where the ball's going. There's times where you would say it's not good technique because he's looking back at the ball as it's in the air and the receiver's, running downfield, but he just feels the receiver and he's like, I'm the receiver. You try to defend me. So everything he does is so impressive. Early on, I worried about how big is he going to get. Size isn't going to matter. The kid can flat out cover and he's physical. You see him trigger and go downhill when there's pulling, 300-pound linemen. You'll see him on this jet sweep right here. He sees a hole, he hits it, but burst, speed, fluidity, body control. This guy's the complete package. As good of a cover corner as I've seen at this age in a very, very long time. As good as a return man. He can do it all. This kid's special. He's going to be able to go anywhere he wants. This is almost you see him as being a day one starter that you can put on an island at the major college level. He's already playing at a different level around some talented people.
My question here for you, Clint, is with the way that Wisconsin's been recruiting D-backs and the size profile they've been going after, right? They've been going after longer guys. You look at the cornerback commits that they've got from this 2024 class. I mean, all the guys are over 6 feet tall. Now he's only 5'10", but I think you kind of make an exception here for just for the athleticism, the ball skills, the IQ, and the cojones on this kid.
Yeah, cojones, coverage ability. Yeah, you do. And the reason they're going for a lot of those longer guys is because what they're asked to do. They need to have range because they are put on an island, and range gives you an opportunity if you're put on an island to recover. With him, he just there's certain guys you make exceptions for. There's certain things you make exceptions for in life. There's certain guys you're going to make exceptions for in terms of a physical profile when it comes to their skill set, and that skill set has to be incredibly special. There's a lot of schools that will not step out their physical profile, but he's the type of kid that will make you step out of that profile because his skill set's so good. You see it there. He's looking back at the quarterback, somehow knows how to stay in phase. He just feels the field. He knows where the ball is going, and just like the angles he takes, and it's insane. He's just so much fun to watch.
And the body control, dude. it's not only the things that we've talked about a lot on this show, the ability to flip his hips to stay in phase, but the body control in the air, ball skills for a corner, a return ability once he has the ball in his hands, man. Like he's the real deal Holyfield. Like
He really is.
this is some really, really incredible stuff. He's a touch bigger, but has the big playability of current Badger cornerback Ricardo Hallman in a lot of ways, another former 4-star, but he's got an even more impressive athletic profile. And I think that this kid obviously going to be tough to get out of the state of Ohio. Ohio State's been heavy on him since he was a freshman. He's visited that school more than any others. But I mean, it is a who's who of who else is in on him. Michigan, Notre Dame, Miami. I mean, you name it. There, if it's a big time program, Penn State, Tennessee, they are in on this kid, and you can see why. Just
look at the technique. I mean, he just tempos the receiver. Like cushion doesn't matter. He trusts his skill set. It's just so incredible to watch a kid this young that can cover like this, and it's so natural. Yes, I'm sure he works at it because his technique is like extremely refined for a kid his age. Like you see right there, his ability to recover, when in a bad position, and also
the makeup speed. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Now, obviously, like you're gonna have to have even more of that at the college level because you can't afford to make a 3-step mistake like he did in that case. But just showing the athletic profile coming up, open field tackling, unafraid. Like this kid's got it all.
This is impressive right here. You got 300-pound lineman, crack replace. I don't care. I'm taking you out. Like, he was born that way. He's different.
He definitely is. And I mean, everyone says, oh, I'm different, built different, whatever, man. Like it's true in this case. I'm blown away by Elbert Hill, like absolutely blown away. And Clint, you have taught me to love defensive back tape. And I think it was you and I were texting about this last week. I've discovered through watching all this tape with you that we do, which I absolutely adore. My favorite tape to watch is still running back tape. I love watching running back tape so much. It makes me so happy to watch a really good high school running back. I feel like there's nothing better. But Clint, you disagree. You think it's the most fun tape to watch is defensive line.
Yeah, defensive line followed by defensive back. I just love those, the defensive linemen are almost like the basketball players, it's like these big athletic dudes that are like, how do they move like that? How do they bend like that? How are they so explosive? How are they so long? How can they go from speed to power? And I just like the, fighting in a confined space, it's like going to battle. So I really like that. I'm always going to like my defensive backs, but running backs can be fun too. There's a special running back is special, at the college level or at the high school level. But yeah, for me, it's the defensive linemen that are just punking 300 pounders when they're like 220 and 6'6". And I just love watching film, period, man.
Yeah, so do I, obviously, and you've really taught me to love it. I love watching running back tape because you see some of the jukes and the balance some of these really high-end prospects pull off that, it's like they've crossed up guys on the basketball court and they've fallen on their butt sometimes.
There we go, basketball.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Love watching that. I love watching offensive line tape as well. Especially if it's guys going up against good competition. It's always fun to watch a Michael Roski who's throwing guys that are 150 pounds lighter than him. But when you see like a really, really high end kid, who's the kid from Indiana who's going to Ohio State, class of 24, like one of the really high. Ian Moore. Like Ian Moore is one of my favorite tapes I've watched because
Jackson Cantwell.
Oh, well, shoot. Jackson Cantwell is the freaking white whale out there, dude. That kid is number one prospect in the country level for a 27. God, I can't believe he's a 27. That
he's
kid
26. 26.
Is he a 26? I thought he was a 27. Either way, doesn't matter. He's so good for his age, and his tape is really fun to watch.
He could be a 24, and he'd be a top 5 player in the country.
I know it's absolutely incredible, but I don't know, man. I've been watching so much tape lately. It's been a lot of fun.
I love it, dude.
Elbert Hill, like we've talked about, man, like this kid really stands out. His skill set's special, and it's going to be interesting to see if Wisconsin is able to close or even make the top group for him. You consider Fickell's relationship with the state of Ohio. A lot of the those defensive backs coaches who like Hitchler, who he's been with for a while, they can point to a Sauce Gardner, they can point to a Kobe Bryant and say, hey, like we can develop you like this. And it's not like Ohio State has been lacking their share of first round defensive backs, recently, but it's hard to find a duo better than those two guys, and they were coached up by Hitchler and Fickell, and so Wisconsin fans got to think they've at least got a puncher's chance here. Maybe it's 5%. It's like we said, it's going to be tough to get them out of the state of Ohio, but you got to be in it to win it, and that's one of the things I like about this new staff.
And everybody wants to be
They're
Sauce.
Offering.
Everybody wants to be Sauce. So,
and on top of that, I saw that it was something Sauce tweeted the other day. Someone asked him like, what teams do you root for? And he tweeted Cincinnati and Wisconsin. And so it's like Sauce is all aboard the Fick train, which is great for Wisconsin.
He said his top. I think it was. I saw it too. I think it was who are the top 4 teams in college football. When they were doing all the playoff debating, and he put Wisconsin, Cincinnati, and I can't remember who else.
It doesn't even matter who else because it's Wisconsin and Cincinnati, which is absolutely fantastic. So, other news in the recruiting and sort of the larger college football world is the opening of the portal. We've had 1,300-ish players go in the first 2 days. We're recording this on a Wednesday morning. Monday and Tuesday were when the portal officially opened. Yeah, I think it was over 1,000 players went in on Monday. Another 250 plus went in on Tuesday. Man, it is a free-for-all again out there. So my question to you then, Clint, is how much will these sort of late portal offers, guys you didn't expect to see go in the portal, how much is going to affect like 2024 classes? If let's say I'm a program and I am looking and I've got a kid in tow who maybe I like but don't love, and I'm able to grab that same position from the portal. How many guys do you think we're going to see teams move off of? How rare is that for guys to move off a player late in the cycle for a portal player instead?
I think we're going to see more of it this year than we ever have, especially if if they took a kid that wasn't at the top of their board that they're iffy on, or the kid's played any games. I think you got to be very careful as a staff, or if you do have guys committed that you do like, and then all of a sudden the next best thing pops up in the portal and you got a chance at them, jumping at that over and over. Because that will kind of, you got my dog. There's Juicy in the back. Say what up,
What's up, Juicy?
There she is. So there's a lot of madness in the house right now. We've got a baby, and the dog's here, and so. But
got a baby with a very fetching sweater, I must say.
Oh yeah, that's the other baby, Juicy. Yeah, my wife isn't being very much help right now, so I apologize for that, Perko.
Oh, she's wonderful.
Yeah. So, but all right. So back to that. You got to be very careful because that will upset high school coaches. That can get you blackballed from programs if a kid did nothing wrong, especially if they're a good player and you're just jumping at the next best thing. But if you have a need, maybe you take an extra player at the position, or if a kid's played games, or if they're not at the top of your list. You do. I think you've got to go and take chances. It's becoming more of a business. It's becoming more like the NFL, and you got to jump on these free agencies. You can't do it across the board because then you get stuck in the portal. But if you can get a special player to special position, 100%. A guy like Walter Nolan jumps off, out. Former 5-star defensive lineman. Guys like Aiden Childs, Dante Moore. Cam Ward. Some teams are one player away from a championship, from being a championship caliber player. And so you've got to take advantage of that if you can get those kids. But at the same time, you can't change your whole philosophy because of it. And a lot of these portal guys are going to find out the grass is not always greener. These options aren't always going to be there. So
I agree with you. And it's that relationship with the high school coaches is really interesting to me because, if you are, especially if it's a power, one of those big programs like an Archbishop Hoban, right? And you've got a Hoban kid that you like, but you don't love, let's say, and you're able to get a guy at the same position. It's tough because you don't necessarily want to you don't want to kill that relationship with that program, but you're also realizing that coaches don't have 5 years anymore from when they're hired. They've got 2. Like
Yeah.
you've basically got 2 years to turn around a program, or else you're probably going to see the door. Like 3 years, if your program's not turned around, you're done. Like you are absolutely done. So you're almost forced to take portal guys because you know that they have a higher floor when they step in a lot of times to the program.
That, and it's becoming more accepted because there's some schools that are only taking a handful of high school kids. They're going straight portal. I don't think that's long-term sustainable. You're not going to see a school like Alabama taking half their players from the portal because they're losing a ton to the portal. So they'll take some. But these big schools are home of the 5-star transfer, and the 5-star transfer is going to become a very common thing. And those guys are going to be the hottest kid on the block, even if they don't pan out. So, it's I don't know if it's probably going to get crazier before it settles down. It's going to take a couple of years for kids to realize that the portal's not always the answer. And I think it's also going to be one of those things. It's like, I can start out at Eastern Michigan and start at Alabama by the time I'm done. If I believe in myself, let's take a scholarship right now. And I would say to the kids who do have offers, with this portal open, you better jump on that offer if you have not committed and you're not a dude. So, and then going back to what you said about, dropping a kid from a well-known, highly recruited high school, that's also why you got to be careful when you recruit those high schools. If you take a kid from that high school, you better be ready to take them long-term. You're not just dropping them unless you're a Saban at Alabama, and even then you got to have a good reason for it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I want to get you out of here on today, Clint, was something that Coach Fickell said, I think it was last week in one of his press conferences, maybe the week before, talking about sort of the issue and how he doesn't really like seeing like 7th-year quarterbacks, on, which is interesting because the Badgers did have a 6th-year starting quarterback who was on his third school this past year in Tanner Mordecai. I want to get your thoughts here. Cause I think, as the COVID season gets further and further away, we're going to have less and less guys who are eligible for those 6th and 7th seasons. I personally, I also don't love getting that quarterback who's on his third school in his 6th or 7th year, because I don't really feel like that's a great culture builder, especially at the quarterback position. I think personally, and now again, maybe you need that because you need that higher floor. Maybe that freshman that you really like isn't there yet, obviously, and has the higher ceiling. But then you bring in the big name transfer, and you might lead that kid to transfer, and you have to keep it. Turns into a vicious cycle. So I'm very much with Fick here on this. I don't want to see a lot of 7th-year guys. Also, like, come on, like let's just go. Like you've had your time in college football, and I understand that like you want to keep playing, you want to keep getting that education, you want to get that second or third master's degree or whatever it is that you're getting when you're on your third or fourth schools, JT Daniels, in your 7th year of college football. And I want to see the kids play, gosh darn it, especially at the quarterback position. Like, I just want to, I don't know. I'm very pro player in general. I'm very pro player movement, NIL, like portal. Like, if that's what you want to do, well, that's what you think is best, that's fine. But I think from a culture standpoint, I think from a program building standpoint, like that is a very slippery slope to me, especially at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to see a ton of 7-year guys anymore. They're going to be guys who have battled injuries, maybe had a personal situation pop up. And so, schools that are taking those guys, if you don't like that in college football, just don't take it. I mean, that's a pretty simple solution, but you're going to see less and less of it. I think there's certain instances, like a guy like Sam Hartman, good culture guy and everything like that. You take a guy like that when you need a quarterback. He had guys transfer out. So, you were kind of stuck at a deficit. I do think there's guys who are going to realize that they're going to make more in college football than they would if they even make it to the NFL or don't make it to the NFL. So that's incentive for them to stay longer in college. But yeah, I think now that we're past COVID, God forbid we don't have another
pandemic.
Or anything else like that happen. But I don't think we're going to see as much of it. I do think that at some point it's time to move on. But at the same time, if coaches stop taking the kids, you're not going to have 7-year kids. So that's a quick solution right there. And without the pandemic, you'll get some 6 years, but you're going to get some 5 and 4, and you're going to still have a lot of 3-year guys probably too.
Also, like, guys going to their third team isn't always like, I don't know if I know it's like shouldn't necessarily be a red flag. You know, every situation is different. But I don't love like guys going to their third team. Like that's, I don't know. I'm very conflicted about it. I'm very conflicted about it. So, gonna get you out in here. Who is the biggest surprise entry to the portal for you so far?
I don't know.
Because I think there are unsurprising guys. Like a Cam Ward is not surprising, right? Cam Ward,
yeah,
great at Washington
like a Will
State.
Howard.
Will Howard, like, yeah, those guys are not unexpected. But
I was surprised by Will Howard from Kansas State.
Really?
Because I mean, he did a really good job there. The people loved him. You know, they must think that that freshman behind him,
Avery Johnson.
Blank on it. They must think that Avery Johnson, is the truth and the next guy, and said that, or maybe he just wasn't happy there. I don't know, but
or he's getting more, or he can get more money somewhere else, right? You talk about that, like Will Howard's probably not really an NFL quarterback prospect, just because of he doesn't have the accuracy at his size. He can't be asked to run as much as he does at the next level, but he's still a really good college quarterback, and so I think he's the kind of guy that, like you talked about, he can go out there and probably make a significant amount more in one season than, if quarterbacks, like Matt Rule is saying, are going for $1.5 to $2 million a pop for a high level FBS starter, which is what he is. Well, his base salary in the NFL, even if he's like a 6th or 7th rounder, like that's like 3 or 4 years of NFL paychecks for that 1 year of college football. So you don't blame the kid for wanting to do that. And again, like for me, like a Will Howard is a little bit more palatable as a 5th-year player only going to his second school than a 7th-year guy on his third or fourth school.
Will Rogers, too, kind of surprised me just because, especially with Levy going to Mississippi State, like he's tailor-made for that offense. And I think he put his name in before that. But
he did.
Yeah, but, you would think, and then you see where he ends up, Washington, and, then you kind of understand why he did it. That was kind of in the making. Kyle McCord kind of, that one surprised me.
That surprised me, too. That was my biggest surprise, with Dante Moore, honestly, being my second, like, because they didn't fire Chip.
Was going to.
Really? Because they didn't fire Chip. I figured he went there for Chip. I know it was a rocky freshman season in a lot of ways. He did not perform as well as expected. He was kind of jerked around a little bit in terms of starting second string, third string with Garbers and Schlee out there at UCLA. But I was still a little bit surprised because he was going to be the starter next year, it seemed. But I guess, he's on the market. He's going to be a really hot commodity a year after being, I think he was Rivals' #1 overall player, #2 overall player. It was him and Malachi Nelson. I don't remember who was the #1 from 23.
Manning was #1.
Arch. Oh, yeah. I thought, for some reason, I thought Arch had dropped right before the final rankings, but maybe not. Either way, he was a top 3 quarterback, 5-star. Everyone's going to be all over him. I'm curious to see, does he transfer back does he go home to Michigan or Michigan State, where he could probably go
Michigan
in
State
and
just got Childs from Oregon State, who's a very talented, highly rated kid coming out who played in the All-American Bowl last year. I think he committed to Michigan State.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see a lot of former Oregon State guys going to Michigan State, I imagine, with the coaching change there. So,
and Dante's going to get paid, so that's going to play into it too.
Definitely. So I think that's sort of where we're going to wrap it up here today, Clint. Great to see you as always, buddy.
Always.
Love seeing your face, loving having the best time of the week with you here. Love everyone tuning in wherever you are. Make sure that you are subscribing to Badger Blitz for all of the best Badger news and insights anywhere in the known universe. Until next time, is Clint Cosgrove. I'm Matt Perkins. And until next time, we'll see you in the den.
See you in the den. Love my Badger Blitz fam. Love you guys.